I can tell it's not about Chinese grammar. She's writing about what she just saw. On Friday, Dad is yelling at us about our progress reports, and I remember the MP3 recorder in my pocket. I reach down and press the record button through the fabric. Dad's voice gets louder and meaner as he talks about sending us to that boarding school in Europe if we don't improve. He describes how we'll be there for a whole year with no phone calls home and no visits. His voice fills the kitchen, and I keep my hand near my pocket to make sure the recorder is still running. When he finally stops yelling, I wait until I'm alone, and then I stop the recording. The next day at the school, I go to the library and log into a cloud storage account I created. I upload the audio file with shaking hands. The progress bar moves slowly across the screen, and I keep looking over my shoulder to make sure nobody is watching. When the file finishes uploading, I feel like I've just done something that might actually matter this time. The next Wednesday, Mom and Dad call us into the living room after dinner, and Dad has this weird, excited look on his face that makes my stomach twist. He explains they've arranged for a special immersion weekend where one of our tutors will stay at the house the entire time to make sure we're only speaking our assigned languages even at night. Mom adds that we'll sleep in shifts so we can maximize our learning time, and my throat gets tight because that means there won't be any escape at all, not even when everyone else is asleep. I glance at Wyatt and watch all the color drain from his face until he looks almost gray, and his hands start shaking on the armrest of the couch. Dad keeps talking about how this will really push us to the next level, and Mom nods along like this is the most reasonable plan in the world, but all I can think about is how I won't even have my bed as a safe space anymore. That Saturday morning, the tutor arrives with an overnight bag and sets up camp in our dining room where he can monitor both of our study areas. The hours blur together with Russian vocabulary drills and grammar exercises, and I can feel my brain getting fuzzy from exhaustion. Around 3 in the afternoon, I hear Dad's voice getting louder from Wyatt's area, and I know my brother must have mixed something up. Dad is yelling about how Wyatt said an Arabic word when today is supposed to be Russian day, and his voice keeps rising until I hear something crash. Then there's a knock at the front door and everything goes quiet. I peek around the corner and see Mr. Park from next door standing on our porch looking concerned. Dad opens the door and his whole face changes like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly all smiles and friendly neighbor energy. Mr. Park asks if everything is okay because he heard shouting, and Dad laughs this fake laugh and explains we're just doing some intensive study sessions. You know how kids are. They need firm guidance to reach their potential. I watch Mr. Park's face and he looks uncertain, glancing past Dad toward where I'm standing in the hallway. But then he nods slowly and says something about keeping the noise down. Dad thanks him and closes the door, and my brief, stupid hope that someone would actually do something dies right there in my chest. The rest of the weekend drags on with the tutor watching our every move, and I barely sleep at all during my designated rest periods. By Monday morning back at the school, I feel like a zombie walking through the halls. During lunch, I hide in the computer lab and create an anonymous account on a teen support forum I found last week. My hands shake as I type out a post describing the language schedule without using any real names or details that could identify us. I write about the constant pressure and the punishments and the feeling of never being able to relax even for a second. Just getting the words out to people who might understand makes something loosen in my chest that's been tight for weeks. I check back during study hall and there are already 3 responses, and they all say basically the same thing, that this isn't normal, that parents shouldn't treat their kids this way, that I'm not crazy for thinking something is wrong. Reading those words from strangers who have no reason to lie to me feels like someone finally turned on a